Indeed, you are not alone. That is what the key message I think that comes out of that. Matt Wilkinson is the royal editor of The Sun. Matt, thank you so much for joining me on talkTV. It's been a dramatic 24 hours for Princess Catherine. You've been a busy boy as well. How is The Sun covering this?
Well, right from the very start, to be honest, we've shown a lot of respect, I think, and dignity to the Princess of Wales, because look, your previous guest there talked about the Duchess of Sussex, as she is, that she felt that she was kind of hounded out of the country. I mean, we treated the Princess of Wales with respect. Contrast that to the abuse that she's received online. We've asked people to leave her alone. We've asked people to obviously, stop bullying her, because she is a woman who was off with needing, abdominal surgery. Now we find out that it's actually cancer. And I just want to pick up like this belief that people have been vicious towards her. A lot of the viciousness has actually come from the United States. A lot of it has actually come from Twitter handles connected to the so-called Sussex Squad. We've had Stephen Colbert making jokes about her on American TV. We've had Kim Kardashian tweeting maybe her media manager told her it was a good idea. It wasn't, that she was off to find Kate. And these are the kind of people. I'm glad that Carol Decker has apologised. I think I've just heard that for the first time. But people should be apologising. And I say The Sun, it is quite a contrast, really, that the English media have actually perhaps been the good guys here. We have given her space, we have criticised the conspiracy theories, and we have represented her speech today as a welcome speech, but also a dignified speech, contrasting it to the abuse that she's received on WhatsApp, meme, Twitter, social media that has called it, has called her into. Has called her story into question. I do feel it's sad that she's had to make this. Actually, had a wonderful statement, to be honest. When I first saw it yesterday, I had to admit I was quite choked to see her to make that statement.
I think we all were, man. It was just extraordinary.
But I mean, it's come to this because in January, through a spokesman, she asked for privacy. She asked for respect. She asked for people to understand that she's going through major surgery. She'll 13 days in hospital and she'll be back in April. People didn't heed that. The whole world, fell apart. People were like, well, where is Kate? And it descended into this mystery, and they were filling the gaps.
Can I actually just mention?
The English media have really tried to pay respect to her, and now maybe she's actually said it, people might actually listen to her through her own words.
I think that's a really good point, Matt, and I hope you don't mind me revealing details of harmless details, I should say, of a private conversation the two of us had. We both work in the same building. I saw you outside the building one day and said, what do you make of this? Where's Kate's speculation? And you said, it's nonsense. We know where she is. She's in Kensington Palace recovering from her illness. And that was just, what I'm saying to viewers and listeners is that you, in public on this station and in private in that conversation, had a completely consistent line that she was to be left alone. Yes, of course, you're doing your job as royal editor, you're reporting on her and so on, but it was a pretty shameful episode, actually, when there were so many people who were speculating without any shred of evidence on all sorts of wild and wonderful conspiracy theories. Do you think people will be chastened by that? We've seen Carol Decker, as you mentioned there, and others as well. But do you think people will maybe take a bit of a breath, take a beat, and actually think, do you know what, maybe the next time something like this happens, we need to just have a bit more dignity and self-respect?
Well, I hope so. I've got faith that people can apologise, or people can actually turn around, but I think some people are just too far gone. I mean, so I released the story on Monday that she'd been seen at the farmhouse, the farm shop. I knew that she'd been seen there. We then released the footage. Even then, I was getting abuse saying that this wasn't real, this is a fake video. I think it has been a shameful episode. I do think back to the era, it's hard to compare Kate with Diana, but I think back to the era when Diana was hounded. And I think that, a lot of journalists, a lot of newspapers did take stock and change their ways about the way they behaved with celebrities and members of the royal family. And I hope that maybe some people with huge amounts of followers online, huge amounts of influence in the new kind of media space do actually follow the lead that happened in the 90s, and maybe they change their behaviour. But because they are influencers, they do post things online that changes people's opinion, and people should maybe start looking to the newspapers, people who actually know what's actually going on, that are reporting sensibly and respectfully, and not listen to, as I say, Kim Kardashian's tweet joking about trying to see Kate, which still riles me. I still think it's unfair that she did that. So hopefully there will be a change, and people will take time after, sit down, watch that interview, see how hard it was for her to actually make that statement, and maybe, have a little quiet word with themselves and not suddenly leap to follow a conspiracy theory on social media or have a joke at a woman's expense. I mean, the people were joking at Kate's expense, asking where she was. Well, she was recovering, as she said, from a major surgery. She was undergoing chemotherapy, and she was having to tell her 3 children, and she's living her life in the spotlight. And it's people really need to, you know, I don't have a massive go at individuals, but they need to really have a word themselves, and maybe next time just pay a little bit of respect to people in the public eye.
It's interesting you mentioned that point in regard to journalists knowing what they're talking about, and not all of them do. And we do, of course, you know, there are good and bad journalists, there are good and bad shop assistants, there are good and bad GPs, there are good and bad, you know, presenters of television programmes. But actually, the one thing the media has, or parts of the media have, is trust. And if you trust a broadcaster, if you trust a journalist, or you trust a journalistic brand to tell you the truth about Princess Kate and about other things as well, that's the key aspect. And to me, that's really all that differentiates some media from, you know, someone on Twitter, because they often have, you know, everybody has a smartphone, everybody can be a citizen journalist sometimes, but actually that trust and getting your information from sources you trust and can trust to tell you the truth and be straight talking, that's so incredibly important, Matt, isn't it?
It is. The media landscape is so disparate, if that is the word. We get news from all over the place now. You know, back in the day, you'd pick up a newspaper in the morning, or you'd watch 6 o'clock news or 10 o'clock news, and you'd talk about it at work the next day or school the next day. Now people are getting news, so-called facts, opinions, or Twitter handles with so many followers from so many different avenues, and they then think that they are armed with information that somebody else doesn't have. And so, you know, as I say, maybe this could be this could be the moment that ends the era of the conspiracy theory. Or
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Yeah, Matt, thank you very, very much indeed. Really appreciate you joining us today. Matt Wilkinson is the Royal Editor of The Sun.